Hi there, Kate Bora and Fiona Pearman. And this month we're digging into relationships. What are they, why they matter, and how we can go about really building strong relationships that build trust and influence, especially when it comes to our professional careers. And I think one of the things we've noticed a lot in our AOC programs and also with our in-house women in leadership programs is it matters, right? It isn't just about what you know. And I think a lot of women, particularly, rely on subject matter expertise, work hard, know your stuff, and expect to be promoted. And what we know is that who you know really matters. The relationships you have, the support you can garner, be that mentors, sponsors, peer support, is really critical when it comes to progression, but also importantly to performance and also well-being.
Yes, this matters far more than many people think. And in fact, our work with women and coaching women, very often they're underestimating how important relationships are to their career progression. And so we really want you to start thinking about the cost of not having relationships. What does it mean that I am over relying on my skills, on my good work, and how to start to build in, to start to think about relationships as equally important. And we often start by reframing because often the language here can really put people off from the start. And as soon as we talk about relationships in a professional setting, people instantly go to the dreaded networking. And it's almost like that word just sparks off a whole lot of fear, trepidation. I can't do that. I don't like it. It feels icky. There's all this baggage that comes with that term. So what we'd say here is relationships are not networking. It's not the same thing. Yes, networking is a place, it's a factor, it's part of, but the really vital relationships, the ones that we see that do enable career progression, are very often the more subtle, the more nuanced, the ones where there's much deeper connection. And this often goes through people you've worked with in the past, people you've met, through networks, through organizations, through ways in which you've chosen to stay in touch. And so thinking about that, thinking about who is it that I know and how can I be in good relationship with them? How can I have good exchange, good conversations? That's probably a better place to start than worrying about whether or not I need to attend a networking event.
Yeah, I think networking is quite transactional. It's a great way to meet people. I've got hundreds of people in my world for whom, I met at an event and or as part of networking at an event. And, that was a connection. What matters is where we take the conversation and the relationship to a deeper level of relational. So not transactional, but relational. And this is where we start to build trust, credibility, connection, because people get to know us. Right? I think what happens in relationships that's really critical to our work is that because I know who you are, I have more certainty. We often use the analogy, I'm in a room with my team, and I'm talking about a topic. And then I walk out of that room and I go across the hallway into a room with senior executives, people who I don't know so well, and all of a sudden my confidence goes from here to here. Because in the room with my team, I have more certainty. I know who these people are. I know what subject matter specialty they have. I trust them more. It is a safer space. In the room with the senior executives, because I don't have as much relationship in that room, I don't have as much certainty. So it feels a whole lot potentially scarier or harder. And so we want relationships matter specifically in our work because it gives us more certainty. And we know that we have more certainty, we have more confidence.
And sitting alongside this is being cognizant that it's not simply what you know, it's how other people know what you know. So it's the way in which you've engaged them, how you've brought them on the journey, how visible you are to them. And this is more than your performance. Your performance is important, but people need language. You need language to talk about and to advocate for yourself, but you need that language so that other people can talk about what it is you're contributing and what you're offering the organization. I mean, there's not a magic piece here where just because there's a job description, just because there's a role available, just because you've done good work, that automatically means you're going to be considered. It is going to depend on what people have seen of you, how visible you've been, how you've spoken up, how you've engaged in conversations, where you've been, and attending to both performance pieces and, making sure you are the subject matter expert, you're delivering well, and that other people know about that, they can communicate and talk about it. When we bring those two things together, that's really powerful. Those are the relationships which will lead to people advocating for you.
Yeah, I often use the analogy, two people. One is really good at building relationships. I'm going to suggest probably in the office a little bit more. The other, not as comfortable, confident building relationships, maybe not as visible or not in office as much. That's not to say that you can't build relationships if you're remote. We just need to be more proactive and strategic. But two people, one person building stronger relationships, especially with senior executives across the organization. The other still working hard, doing great work, but maybe not as visible. And so this person has more relationships, right? Has built better influence, has built more trust. Those stakeholders have more certainty in this person's skill, capability, and experience. So when a promotion opportunity comes up, and both apply, the decision makers more likely have more information about this candidate. And because of that, interviews aside, are going to have more certainty in this person's ability to do the job. And so this is why relationships matter, right? It builds trust, it builds confidence from these stakeholders, because they've got more information that they can rely on about this particular person than they do this other person.
And I think the flip side of this, of course, is if we haven't built the relationships, then we risk being overlooked despite having great talent. People have limited information about us. They're not going to think of us in light of opportunities because they simply don't know enough about us to put us forward. And we're going to have reduced influence. We're not going to be seen as much, and we're not going to be part of those decisions. So relationships are not optional extras. It's not something that we can kind of keep putting on the back burner and saying other things are more important. Building relationships, having that capability, leaning into it and being willing to do it, that's a core career skill.
Yeah, I think it enhances performance, because we have more access to more skill, capability, experience in our world. People we can collaborate with, we can bounce stuff off. That has a transition effect on productivity because by virtue of doing that, we can often do things a whole lot more efficiently. And of course, also on progression. So lots of different parts and places where building relationships is really critical when it comes to not just our performance, our progression, but also critical in context of our well-being. We're going to leave it there. If you've enjoyed today's confidence conversation, we'd love to hear from you. And if you'd love to, if you know someone in our world or your world, who could benefit from today's confidence conversation, we'd love for you to share it with them. If you want to tune into more of our videos, head over to our YouTube channel, hundreds and hundreds of great videos over there you can dig into, including videos from over 60 of our Acts of Confidence alumni sharing the impact of the program on their world. And if and when you're ready to go deeper with your relationship with confidence, visit our website, coreconfidence.com.au. Thanks for tuning in today. Don't forget to hit subscribe on your YouTube channel for more insights on confidence, leadership, and complex work environments. We drop new videos regularly and we'd love to share them with you.